Namaskar, I'm Ashok Vyas, and today's show is going to be very special with the presence of Satya Pradeep ji, who is very special with respect to her sustained relationship to the classical Indian dance forms. And while we have her in the present in the form of a teacher as well as a performer, connected to Bharatnatyam and Kuchipudi mainly, how her journey has been in America, and that started all the way back in 1989. How a student of commerce figured out that art is more preferred than commerce in her life. Let me have the pleasure of welcoming Satya Pradeep ji. Satya ji, welcome. Namaste.
Namaste.
Thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
And I kind of find it interesting to start from where you started in terms of your relationship with dance. And that was, of course, in India. How
True.
all that started.
Yeah, my mother was very passionate. So, right after school, she would take me for dance classes. I was very fortunate to have training under the best teachers, Guru Kamla Lakshman and Guru Srimati Radha in Bharatanatyam, and Guru Padma Bhushan Sri Venkatechana Satyam in Kuchipudi. And so that was my mother's passion, and we were fortunate that they were not very far. So right after school, finish homework, then go for my classes, and this continued. So 3 times a week, my classes, and started actually originally with Bharatanatyam, and then at the age of 12, 11, 12, when I finished my Bharatanatyam Arangetram, I still continued, but I had passion for Kuchipudi also. So my mother put me for Kuchipudi classes.
Okay. So I'll ask you a different kind of a question than the linear line that we will take. Many times, what happens is the art form that is close to you, it becomes a means for you to sort of channelize your emotions sometimes. So, like there was a movie in which we saw that actor was using the dance expressions as a way to sort of to work on his inner space. Now, with all that, how was it for you? Was it an expression of joy all the time, or dance did not leave you even while you were not that high? How your relationship with dance helped you in growing as a person and having that inner harmony?
During childhood days, well, it was just, it was more like a chore, going for class and coming back. Then after that, it slowly evolved, and I never focused much on dance because we got to go to college and, got married, came to this country. And that's when, I started. I never had anything in mind that I would be teaching dance here. So one thing led to another. My husband's colleagues' children, they wanted to learn because they came to know that I knew dance. So it started small and just slowly built up. And oh, you're putting
Hmm.
these images. It slowly built up, and I was fortunate to have a good number of students at my peak years, and now slowly winding down. But the journey figured a lot of inner process, and as you mentioned, the joy, you have a lot of emotions going on. So differentiating between a performer and your regular everyday life, so that's the balance we have to learn. Well, there are conflicts all the time, but eventually it's more of an awareness and mindfulness, and it's a journey, everyday journey. There's no slacking. You can't slack anywhere.
I think it helps you in staying fit physically, mentally, emotionally, in every possible way, as well as it is a means to intensify your spiritual quest, because many of the Indian classical dance forms are ultimately aradhana oriented. And let me request you to share the basic difference between Bharatnatyam and Kuchipudi as a performer, how you felt more drawn towards Bharatnatyam, Kuchipudi, or it's the same?
No, because Chennai, Bharatanatyam, the teacher was right there. So, my mother put me in Bharatanatyam classes. Bharatanatyam has more of, the structure of half sitting position, which is called an Aramandi position. That is very, very important. You start off from that, and everything more or less, it's more like a geometrical, movements. Some people might say it's a little bit more on the rigid and all that, the way you perform. Kuchipudi, on the other hand, is more story oriented, because Kuchipudi basically it started from the dramas, the plays that were being done, and then from there it started, and then that's when the items came across, and then kept, more performers started. So basic difference between Bharatanatyam, Kuchipudi: Bharatanatyam is not a vachika bhinayam, that is we just smile and everything is mind. But for Kuchipudi it's more theater drama, so we lip sync the words. And it's more based more on Krishna themes, story oriented. So when you see the presentation with the costume and all that, because of the fact that both states are right next to each other, Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh, people might not see the differences, but when you're aware of the dance forms, you can see the differences between both the styles.
So, going by what you have explained on your website, satyapradeep.com, about Bharatnatyam, and you talk about two aspects, namely Nritta, pure rhythm, which is confined to footwork,
Yeah.
and the movements of the body and hands with geometrical precision, and Abhinaya or mind conveyed through gesture and facial expressions. Uh, what I want you to tell us is, have you observed that some dancers are more sort of efficient with their footwork, but they don't have the kind of geometrical precision with the movement of their body? And so, are there some exercises, and from both sides, as a student and as a teacher, how um, challenging it has been to sort of help them get to that flow, which should do justice with the theme that is being presented?
Yeah, very challenging, because children here, especially, I should bring this because it's very important. I'm based in Long Island, and in Long Island, children are not exposed to so much of classical arts per se, Bharatanatyam and Kuchipudi. So that said, there should be a lot of commitment between the children and the parents. And this is not just, you just get it. It's not instant. It's a process. So the more you keep doing it, then what happens is you start having something like a muscle memory. The body starts understanding, oh, this is the movement. This is what needs to be done. And so when they keep doing that, that's how the process. So there are students who pick up only the nritta very well, because it's all footwork, it's calculation, it's more like math, so it's straightforward. But when it comes to expressions and emoting songs, be it in Telugu, Tamil, any language, and I make sure that they understand. And whatever, if I don't understand the meaning, I make sure I understand and explain to them in English. And so that's when, because it's not easy to just do the expressions. They might have expressions at home, but when they come and you're supposed to say, oh, why don't you laugh, this character is supposed to make mockery of someone else, they can't get that, because you become rigid. You're forced to do an expression. So slowly they learn. And that forcing becomes more like a flow and a habit. It becomes a process where slowly they become comfortable with themselves and not be told by a teacher or by the parent. So slowly, and it has been, I'm also evolving as a teacher, where these days the children need to understand they have to start liking. And then, because once it becomes hard, you become rigid, then there won't be any movements. Yeah,
Talk-
faced a lot of
Talking
challenges, faced a lot,
absolutely,
but
but
it
then
was, yeah,
yeah,
sorry.
no, no. I was just saying that artistic director definitely has that challenge, and artistically speaking, for the benefit of our viewers, there are different bhavas which are conveyed. So, do you work separately on the abhinaya part in some of the dances? For example, we talk about nine rasas. So, would you be kind enough to demonstrate any something that you can do while sitting?
Sure.
Uh,
You can get all the nine emotions when you're doing. For example, you have Shringara, which is love. So I'm not sure where the camera is,
yeah,
but
no, no, you're perfectly visible. Yeah, yeah.
you have these, uh,
Beautiful.
you need to feel those emotions like love. So it immediately you have to, I'm having my glasses so it's a little bit different, but the love, ascharyam, and disgust, so everything over a period of time you have to, and it's not just the face, it's how you're feeling from the nabi, from deep inside, and it comes out through your eyes.
Beautiful. So,
So
would you say there is more prominence of expressions in Bharatnatyam or Kuchipudi? And allow me to also mention from your website itself, there are four traditional concepts of Abhinaya expressions as mentioned in
Oh,
Natya Shastra.
yeah,
Yeah.
that, yes, Vachika.
So, right.
It depends on the piece. Bharatanatyam, Kuchipudi, and the other classical dance forms of India. It depends on the piece that you're portraying as a performer. It can be a sad piece, it can be a devotional item, it can be any kind of emotion. So it all depends on that particular piece and how you work on it. And I just want to address that question which you had asked earlier regarding whether I spend time with the students separately. I do, because during the item itself practice sometimes it gets frustrating if they're not getting that emotion. So separately work on that, make them understand, and it's a lot of facial exercises, because to sustain the eyes, you really have to focus, and that takes a lot of work. um, so the more you keep practicing, the less tired you get, because they blink. Once you start blinking, then you lose that character, and then once you're fidgety with the eye, then you're losing that character, you're losing that grip. So there's a
Quite
lot.
interesting and intricate both actually, to have that poise, stay there, have that artistic discipline to portray. And while we talk about themes from our Puranas, you have also been instrumental in directing some of the dance dramas, like large productions with lot of
Yeah.
dancers participating. So let me request you to share your experience of while you performed solo somewhere, and that has stayed with you in your memory as a very enriching or satisfying experience.
Oh
And
yes.
similar question for any production which you felt kind of was gave you the kind of high. Yeah.
Yeah, when I came to New York 1988, that's when the Ganesh temple in Flushing had an auditorium in the basement. Still, it was a small temple, it was not expanded. And there I gave my solo performance, and even in Bridgewater Temple. And so, solo performance with live orchestra, it's a different feeling, because you're performing about seven items for about an hour and a half, 2 hours. Then slowly, my first dance drama, the production was Navarasa Malika. Interesting that you mentioned the nine expressions. So, how did I present this thematic presentation? Was each rasa expression, I made it like a story. So I spent 10 minutes, 15 minutes for each rasa and made it. Like for disgust, it was Sita and Ravana. So Sita was so disgusted when Ravana comes to the Ashok Vanam and she'll say, "Oh, get out." So I had to do different languages also. So worked on that, and that's when I said, "Okay, this is something interesting." That was a challenge, and when I finished it and I enjoyed the process, I said, "Okay, let's start working on different thematic presentations." So did Dashawataram, did um, on Trai, on Lord Dattatreya. So did that, and that was one of my biggest productions. It took about 2 years in making, and I had about 38 students of mine take part in that. So those days,
You also perhaps you also did Navda Bhakti, did you?
I did bhakti. I did on Stree. I have written down, and I did on thematic presentation on Lord Krishna, and that I called it the Margam. Then I did Vishwakshemam, which was universal peace, and so these were all the then Sita Swayamvaram. So some
Wonderful.
of the, just to name a few,
Yeah.
and we
So
did. We took part in the United Nations. They have something called the Spice Club. So they invited us, and we performed there. So it was all over the place, and it was nice. We danced at conventions. At one point, it was a very good group and all. I had almost 100 students, very much into it.
beautiful, beautiful. And so, very briefly, if you share the way Indian American community members, those who are actually not learning, but how they're responding or have responded to our Indian classical dance forms, as well as people who do not come with Indian origin background, how they sometimes must have felt and shared their impressions of the performance.
Sure. In the past, I did notice a big trend. I'm going to talk bringing Long Island into the picture. India Association of Long Island. I've been associated with so many organizations, and they supported classical arts in a very big way. In the past, in the late 1980s, 90s, as early, even as late as early 2000, then slowly started changing, maybe everybody, and then it became less of classical, more of Bollywood, or have a classical Bharatanatyam costume and do a fusion dance. So just to enamor people with that costume and all that. So because maintaining classical is extremely difficult, extremely. And so that was it. And what has had happened in the process, the local organizations, they started at one point, they started looking at dance as a very exotic thing. So they were not very inclusive and very appreciative just from a distance. Then it started changing when I got in touch with the Long Island Dance Consortium. It's a group of dance companies, and I'm the only Indian dancer there. So slowly developed, and everybody started, appreciating the Indian classical, seeing how difficult it is, the intricacy, getting ready for the performance. And I would also like to, I mean, later I'll be sharing my upcoming project.
Okay, so we are coming to your upcoming project now, and what is interesting about your upcoming project, which is Pancha Bhuta, um, the concept is clear when you are dealing with some theme. So that structure is already laid out. But now, when you are talking about Panch Bhuta, how you sort of personified, and if I also request you for some of our viewers to explain what is the meaning of Panchabhuta?
Oh, definitely. Panchabhuta is the five elements of nature. You have earth, water, fire, air, and space. So these are the five elements of nature, which even every human body has these five elements within them. So if one is off, then you have some kind of imbalance and all that. So this concept came up sometime early last year, and I was approached by the Long Island Traditions. It's an organization based in Long Island, and to support lot of Long Island artists in different fields. So they approached me and they said, we would like to apply for a individual artist grant, and do you have any theme in mind? So that's when it slowly started. And I think one of the days I was walking outside, I said, why not do something on nature? Because we talk so much about climate change, we talk so much about, I think just before that, we experienced the fires in Canada, and in New York, schools were closed because the smoke came. So something on those lines, something hit here, somewhere there. So a light bulb. I said, okay, let's
Okay,
do
so
something.
sorry to interrupt, and I'm kind of very much interested in learning how you came up with the visual images uh, to demonstrate a journey through the elements.
Yeah, I'll come to that. So then I contacted my friend. I used to be in Dallas, a place called Denton, Texas, before coming to New York. And her name is Radhika Ganesh. She has written, she's also a dancer. And she has written about 75 presentations, the stories, and she's very good with music. So I contacted her and I said, this is my theme. What can be done? So can we do it as a journey, something, how do we put across? So we both, brainstorm with ideas and we said, okay, why don't we have two characters and we'll have them go through the journey, and along the journey they experience different things. So the two characters we created are Tarika and Rani, two girls, friends from a village. And she said, okay. So we started writing the proposal, we started doing this and music, and then we applied and we got the grant. So this production is almost 2 years, the concept. And with Radhika and myself, back and forth, she coming to New York, me going to Dallas, we have done this presentation, and we made each element about 12 minutes of dancing time. So for example, earth, how they see the beauty of the earth, and plus destruction, cutting of trees, building homes. We just wanted to bring in something which is happening in
So
current.
still I know it will be clear only once you have seen the presentation, but it must have been quite challenging. Let's say if you are portraying Earth with two dancers, so I mean, what kind of imagery?
It's
Uh,
all dance. So we have incorporated narration, storytelling. So there is voice, there's English narration, there's music, and there's a lot of dance with abhinaya expression. So how they go, how they see, and music plays a very important part in this. So the music has been edited. Radhika has used all the music, online music and all that, and so you should see this presentation, because it was a very difficult process, because it's an abstract theme. We had to make it very much realistic, so we really had to get into the roles and see how the experience. Even to this day, even till today, we are making subtle changes, slight changes, or maybe this can be done. So, how from earth, water, fire, and wind, finally space. So, when they see this massive universe with the stars, then they feel that we, as human beings, we are so small, we are so humbled, and in this vast, so much is there. And so with that
Beautiful.
humility and all that.
So, on that note of congratulating you on taking up this creative challenge to bring the abstract in the form of a dance, and that too with the Indian classical dance forms bass, and sharing Panch Bhuta with the American audience here at East Meadow Public Library. And of course, this is going to go further at several places. I want to clap on your creative journey, as well as the dedication to share and help young Indian Americans grow on this orbit. So, with lots and lots of good wishes to Satya Pradeep ji, Artistic Director, Nritya Sagaram Dance Academy. Thanks to all of you for being with us with lots and lots of good wishes and prayers that may we work and design our lives in such a way that all five bhutas are in harmony. So when all these five natural elements are in harmony, then the chances that we won't have natural calamities increases. So moving towards a better world, one day at a time. Thank you
Definitely.
with lots of good wishes.
Thank you so much, Ashok ji, for having me.
Namaste.
Namaste.